The Saints start off the 2023 season 1-0, and the Week 2 preparations have already begun here in Metairie at the Saints Indoor Practice Facility as they get ready for prime time Monday night against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Welcome back to The Dot, presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. I'm Brooke Kirchhofer alongside Nick Underhill. Some good news, Kendre Miller was back at practice today. He was limited, but we also did get to see him kind of skirt by the locker room while we were doing media availability in the locker room today. He seemed to look fine.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. It seems like he's trending the right direction. That was never supposed to be a major injury, the hamstring. It was just supposed to be something that kind of like it bit on him a little bit and put him down. I think he's probably going to play this week. It's a little early to say that, but it's definitely trending in the right direction. He's been around. We've seen him around. And then today getting back on the field, I think it's a huge step toward the rookie finally making his debut for the team.
And given the fact that the run game was almost non-existent in the Week 1 game, it's going to be big to get Kendre Miller back, as Alvin Kamara is now going to serve his second game suspension in the 3-game suspension. He will be back for Week 4. All right, back to the injury report. One thing that was surprising was seeing Juwan Johnson on the injury report listed as limited today with a calf injury. We don't expect that to be a big concern. JT Gray was also limited today. He had a non-contact jersey on. This was actually the first time he's ever experienced that, and he said, look, it comes with its luxuries. I'm sure he was able to get away with some things in practice today.
Didn't have to take too many hits
this
time. Yeah, and then the other thing, too, is J.C. Horn is probably not going to play for Carolina. It looks like they're going to take the best player out of that secondary. Huge advantage for the Saints, and that's something that's going to help them this week. They've had a hard time going to Carolina the last few years. Taking Horn out of that, I think, sets the Saints up for success, just given the depth they have at wide receiver. One of the other big talking points today, obviously, Bryce Young, the number one overall pick in the draft. The Saints are going to see him his second start ever. What did you kind of pick up from just talking to different people, hearing kind of what their plan might be this week for going against him?
Well, we know Dennis Allen and the disguised looks. We kind of expect that in Week 2 against a rookie quarterback who didn't necessarily get off to the start that he probably wanted. Bryce Young did struggle Week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons defense, which, as we know, is run by Ryan Nielsen, who used to be here in New Orleans. I think Dennis Allen is paying attention to that. It was interesting. The very first thing he said when asked about Bryce Young is he said they were kind of baiting Bryce Young with Jesse Bates back there. I could see the Saints doing the same thing against Carolina in their own house.
Yeah, DA over the years has always kind of been a master of disguise, and that's kind of one of the things that makes it hard to watch their film. You'll see two safeties up, and then by the time the ball snapped, it's one guy deep, one guy dropping. And if you're a rookie quarterback trying to decipher all that, that's a lot of information to take in. So that's something that I do think kind of plays into their hand a little bit. And it sounds like DA was kind of looking his chops a little bit, like watching that film, seeing some of the ways that he was getting fooled. So it does look like it's something that they're going to try to roll out at him this week.
Could be another big week for the defense. I know that Tyrann Mathieu is surely hoping for that after we had a chance to talk with him. Maybe 4 interceptions in Week 2. We'll see what happens. But the defense should have a good day against this Carolina offense that's still trying to figure things out. For the Saints offense, there was a ton of questions this week in pass protection and run blocking. We had a chance to talk with left guard James Hurst, who is kind of a part of that problem. He was right next to Trevor Penning, who is still trying to get his feet under him as the starting left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. We know that reps have been an issue for him, and that's maybe why it's taken him so long to come along. But when we talked with James Hurst, he was very clear and honest, saying it was not acceptable. Derek Carr cannot be taking the hits that he did in that game, and it's got to get corrected. It's on film for everybody to see.
Yeah, he definitely took ownership of it, and it seems like he took some of the failures kind of hard and personally. And look, it wasn't all just Penning. Like Hurst had some issues in pass protection too. So it's going to be interesting to see the adjustments they make this week. I thought it was fascinating. I asked Dennis Allen, like, if there's a level of patience with Trevor Penning, and he said, I don't know if that's the word, but he backed him. He acknowledges that it's going to take some time for him to get better and to kind of grow into that role. And, you know, Hurst also said, hey, look, this guy like has the best gifts of anybody on this line. You got to give him some time. You got to let him try to figure it out. But it is going to be fascinating to see, like, if there isn't an upward trajectory, like, what is the course of action here? Because it does have to get cleaned up. At the same time, Penning has to play. So they're trying to figure out what that balance is right now.
Yeah, you have to protect the quarterback. And I understand that Dennis Allen said, you know, we got to get through some growing pains. And there's confidence still in the player that he's going to get there. But at what point do you make the change? How many more hits does Derek Carr have to take for that to be the case? And look, they have a new defensive coordinator there in Carolina, which have these big body guys on the defensive line. pass protection is going to be huge in this game.
How concerned are you going into this one?
The fact that they haven't necessarily seen it yet from Trevor, to me, is the biggest concern. It's them still trying to let him just trust in his body. I mean, the man is massive. Even James Hurst was telling us today, like, if he just figures it out, I don't even think it's a trust in your capability in your body. I think he just is struggling to catch up to speed, coming from Northern Iowa and also not getting a lot of reps his rookie year. It's proven to really hurt him in week 1. Look, it could be nerves. He might come out here week 2 and shut us all up.
Yeah.
And that's what Dennis Allen is hoping for.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that James Hurst kept using the word confidence when talking about Trevor. So I think he just needs to go out there, find some success, put together some good snaps, and maybe things start coming together for him a little bit. But it is a concern, and they're going against another good front. So this is something that has to get better right now, today, like in a hurry. And there isn't like a huge runway here, so you gotta show it. But I think that Carolina is going to try to attack him, and if he's not ready, he's going to get exposed.
And we have that entire James Hurst interview on NewOrleans.Football. Listen to that. The guy is super insightful, probably one of the smartest guys on the offensive line. That we appreciate him taking the hard questions after a really tough week. We also had a chance to talk with the quarterback, Derek Carr, as he prepares now for week 2. He was asked a lot about the red zone performances. He didn't necessarily say he had a bad game in that area. He was more of, look, like some of the looks, we just weren't getting them, or I would rather throw it away. I think it just speaks to the fact that you're not maybe going to get a lot of interceptions with Derek Carr, which isn't a bad thing. Of course, you had the one dumb one in week 1, and that's I'm using Derek Carr's words. I'm not saying that he's like that's what he said. Fair. It said it was a dumb interception, but the fact that ball security is at an all-time high with him is a welcomed change after the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, look, he made all the right decisions in this game, and he's going to keep doing that. And I think that's the good thing about having him here. It's just settled that position so much. Like DA talked last year all the time about like quarterback needing to be settled. Like he thought Andy Dalton came in and kind of had like an effect on it a little bit. Derek Carr's taking that to a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
And just kind of the way he approaches everything, it's just it fits. And look, I think they're going to keep getting better, and that's a good thing. I think we need to see some more stuff in the red zone and everything, but like everything he did last week, I felt like was on the right track.
It wasn't the right track for him, though. He even said, like, I don't want that game ball. You'll know when I want it. We'll see what he was hinting at there. You also had a chance to talk with Michael Thomas in the locker room one-on-one. What was that conversation like? Now that he's had some film to look at, week 1, he comes out and he's getting closer and closer to the old Mike T.
Yeah, it was a Mike Thomas type of conversation. Like he told me though that he felt like more of himself. He went out there and it felt like he was him. He said it's not like quite all the way back. He said he's not going to declare that until he's doing all the things he used to do, but he does feel like everything's heading the right direction. And I was like, hey man, like if you had caught 10 passes though, like you'd stand here and find something to be dissatisfied about because that's who you are. And he just like kind of smiled at me and like, paused for a minute and then went into some like cliches about, just team stuff and everything. But Mike definitely feels good about where he's at right now. But I think he's just kind of being conservative about making declarations, just seeing how the last few years went. But he's definitely feeling confident right now.
Hey, one of these days we're going to get that NOF camera, this NOF mic in front of him, and we're going to be able to talk to him in the locker room. And you guys are going to hear this kind of behind the scenes talk that Nick is talking about. We hope to get to that. Look, our Saints coverage will continue. The Saints will practice tomorrow, and our typical Friday show will be on Saturday. So be on the lookout for that.